Hi, good morning to you. I'm Miss Eleanor Chung from Head of Sunway FutureX. So welcome to this venue, and I'm very happy and delighted to host all of you. So just to give you a really brief background, this place that you're sitting is called Sunway FutureX. FutureX stands for the reimagining the future of skills and education. So this whole hub, we imagine it to be an innovation hub. It's about 50,000 square feet in total. There's 4 stories above us. And within FutureX, we actually have FutureX Campus, where we host a bunch of startups who are interested to use Sunway City as a test bed and grow and scale together with us. And then we also have FutureX Talent, which we are going to be launching a computer programming school right above us. No tuition fees, no teachers, no lecturers, completely free for students, and where they would come and learn how to code 24/7. And then lastly is FutureX Farm, which I'll be explaining a little bit more about today. But quick question, you've probably heard of Sunway Group. We have 13 business units in total. But do you know when we started agriculture? When did we venture into food production, growing food? Any idea?
This year maybe?
Not so recent, a little bit. 2019, yeah, that's right. So not about 2 years ago. But this is our first venture into urban farming. But actually, Sunway, we started an organic farm using soil-based methods back in Banjaran. So you familiar with Banjaran, Ipoh, Lost World of Tambun? Lost World of Tambun, exactly. So that area is called Sunway City Ipoh, Banjaran. We actually have a beautiful organic farm next to the limestone caves. So it's about 11 hectares in total. We grow like cucumbers, lettuce, and different kinds of vegetation by using a lot more traditional methods, but organic, because the soil is completely untouched. But here in Sunway City, we don't have large land, right? But we have a lot of spaces, pockets of spaces in Sunway City itself. Hence, that's where Sunway FutureX comes in. Just to give you a background, how we started, we have a university, as you know, Sunway University, and we under Sunway Innovation Labs, if you see the logo behind Sunway iLabs, we run a lot of student programs, like entrepreneurship programs, hackathons we call it. And but while we're doing these idea challenges, like similar to what you're doing now, but shorter scale, a lot of the students we found were coming out with really interesting ideas around food and agri-tech. So, they maybe it's because of the trends, the opportunities that they see, but also food, something that they can relate, right? So they were coming with innovative solutions like everything from logistics to food waste to e-commerce platform solutions. And then at the same time, we spoke to Sunway Property, one of our business units, and they were telling us that within the city, there were a lot of underutilized spaces. So this space here is a car park, right? And you may identify that we actually have a farm here right now built on this car park. So later you'll be going for a farm tour, you can have a look at how we transform a car park that was not used for about 30 years into a food production space. But car parks is one, we've got rooftops, even shopping malls, there's a lot of like dark alleys or locations that we don't really rent out because they're not so strategic, right? We can also turn those spaces into farms, indoor vertical farms. And then the thirdly is like, for all that we've experienced, this is actually a picture of Selayang Market. So during the pandemic, that the market, there was a case there, whole market was shut down, and Selayang Market is like the hub, right, where Cameron comes in, for imports come in, and because of the market being shut down, a lot of the vegetables couldn't reach our supermarkets or homes. And then at the same time, we did a market research. When we're looking to the field, this news articles has been taken over the last couple of years. We've already been questioning, our government or the private sector has been questioning, will we survive? Will Malaysia starve? And that's the question, right? Are we producing enough food for our own people? And this graph here is taken from the Ministry of Agriculture 2020 this year. In terms of vegetables here and fruits, we are currently only 45% self-sufficient, meaning that 55% we import from China, India, Indonesia, and we are spending about 60 billion ringgit every year in 2019 on paying for imports. So that's where Sunway FutureX Farm comes in, and you may have heard from the speakers before, the benefits, right? That we using controlled environment greenhouse, we can grow pesticide-free crops, and using hydroponics method, unlike soil-based, we can change the crops that we want very easily. So tomorrow the market wants more pak choy, we can grow pak choy. The market wants more lettuce, we can easily change. Whereas with soil, you have to still understand the characteristics of your tanah, right? In order to plant the right kind of vegetables that will grow the best But with hydroponics, it's easier because we can change the nutrients very easily. And at the same time, we can ensure consistent quality. Water efficiency, we can save about 90% less water compared to traditional farming. And lastly is the high yields per square feet. We're looking at about 85% to 90% yields. So the key objectives of FutureX Farm, are we just being another farmer? But we're not. So because we have this huge ecosystem, right? We've got students, we've got staff, we've got residents. Hence, we've identified 4 key objectives. The first being nourish. Nourish is to, feed our community with fresh, healthy and safe food. Educate. So within this space, we'll be running workshops as well for people who are interested to learn about urban farming, start their own farms at home, or traditional farmers who want to upskill with technology, or yourselves. And then empower is to really put the tool in their hands, right? If they want to buy kits, they want to buy like the soil or the hydroponic kits to put in their homes, they can also buy it from us. We'll be setting up a retail store here soon. And lastly, we're of course looking into innovation. So we're working with partners all the way from the Netherlands, universities there, in the States who are a lot more advanced, right, in terms of urban farming technologies, how we can collaborate with them to bring in their technology, but we localize it for the local market. Yeah, but we can't do it in silos. So when we look at our ecosystem, we're not planning to really do it all on ourselves because a lot of these technologies are already available. So working together with the government, with academia, MDEC is also one of our partners for our different initiatives. With the farm solution providers, tech partners, because we are planning to build a tech infrastructure with data, with cloud computing, with artificial intelligence, and lastly, the investor and the corporates. So some of the investors here are like Wipra. They are based in Singapore, and they specifically invest into agri-food tech. And the Thought for Food, a large organization which has global connections with startups worldwide. Yep. So this is FutureX Farm. We are starting here, and these 4 farms that we have, we call it the pilot farms. So this is where we identify the right business model, the right concept, who will be our target market, the right selling price. But once we, and then of course inputting the IoT, the data infrastructure. But once we get it right, we are planning to scale the farms. And we're looking that in the next 5 years, we would have at least 1 million square feet of food production spaces in Sunway cities. So Sunway City, we don't just have here in KL, we've got in Johor, Iskandar, we've got in Banjaran, Sunway City, Ipoh, we've got Sunway City, Penang, and we're also building a few other cities across Malaysia. But so the methods we use, if you notice, they're not soil-based. Because if you notice in cities, we don't really have large land, right? But we have underutilized spaces, we call. So we use car parks to build an outdoor greenhouse. We use you would see the indoor farm later. It used to be a storeroom, just barang inside. But now we turned it into an indoor farm. And then this aquaponics one, can you guess what it was? These 2 are aquaponics, there are fishes underneath. Can you guess what it was before? It was a fountain. It was just aesthetically pleasing, beautiful. There were 2 fountains here, so just water pushing out. But we were like, because the fountain already has like a kolam, right? So why don't we just cover it up, build a greenhouse on top, the fishes are at the bottom, and then the waste from the fish, we use it to nourish the plants. So basically turning all these spaces that are not so much value into places that we can grow healthy food for our community. All right, so people always ask us, why is Sunway suddenly wanting to get into agriculture? We've got hospitals, we've got universities, we've got properties, right? Why is suddenly food? And so the real value proposition is that when you look at the farm, we have the space and we have the land, right? At the same time, we have the customers already. We have all these people living in our township. We've got students, we've got 16,000 staff, which is quite a lot of people, right? And so what we are really interested is to manage the farm, to build the farms, and to be close to our consumers, to sell it to them. But in between the whole process of how the food gets to your table, like the packaging, who do we work with, the logistic partner, very important. Lastly, like even e-commerce players, what app should we use, what cloud data infrastructure we use, we want to work with partners. And so you saw the ecosystem slide. It could be anyone from startups to corporates to technology solution providers. But lastly, what we see is the real value that we want to create is the data. So every day right now, even though we're starting in the manual process, we are collecting data on what would be a healthy plant. Because right now, with manual data, can you imagine a large field? You know, the worker has to one by one go and check the vegetable, is it growing healthy? And if it's not, they do something about it. But if we have the cameras and sensors to collect data wherever we are, right? Like what the lady from MDEC shared, right? You know, we can remotely understand which areas we can identify to go and zoom down on the problem, identify why the plants are not growing well, and attend to it. So it really it doesn't reduce labor, but it makes operations so much more efficient. You reduce the amount of error, the farm wastage, and then the consumers get what they want. So ultimately with data, once we can analyze it very efficiently, we want to be able to ultimately address food traceability, because with cameras, with data, our consumers, they know that our farms are grown in a safe environment. No, but somebody didn't just add pesticides in there. We didn't just use any other shortcuts or methods to grow the plants, but it's all transparent. And then one thing that we also try to build is that these farms must be close to the consumer, within 5 to 10 km of where they live, so that they can see, right, with themselves. They can just drop by, they can visit, and know that our farms are safe. And also food predictability, to know tomorrow or next year how much food do we need, what food do we need, and then we plant it backwards, so that we don't just plant what the market don't want, but we plant with not just what the market wants, but what the market needs in terms of nutrition wise, right? And then lastly is the safety, and then the security in terms of producing not just 45% sufficient, but 80, 100% sufficient. And so how we do this is really through, again, data management and analysis, both from the farm side to the customer side. Farm side, we use IoT, analytics, AI, ML. And the customer side, what we're trying to introduce to them is that for them not to just be a consumer, just consume vegetables, pay the cheapest price, but we want them to invest into food security, right? For more local production. Why should I pay local? Why should I pay for vegetables that may be slightly higher price because of the way we are building it, but we want to bring that price low, and how to bring that price low is to scale, right? Economies of scale. But we need customers to help us in that journey, to support us, because ultimately we need to all invest into food security. It can't just be the farmer, it can't just be the government, it can't just be the private sector, because the consumers are the one paying. Hence, if once you make it transparent to them, right, then they know where their money goes. Why is it a little bit more expensive now, but how it will impact the future? Yeah. So again, we are planning to build decentralized farms in every 5 km of the city. And lastly, the idea is to create opportunities to scale up within Sunway. Again, from Sunway Iskandar, it could be outdoor greenhouses, it could be indoor vertical farm, rooftop. So if you notice the construction opposite, that's the extension of Sunway Medical Center, and they're planning to build a rooftop farm on level 12 to feed the kitchen, where they can at least know that their patients are getting fresh, healthy food that didn't even travel a mile, right? Just went down from the lift straight to the kitchen, super fresh. Because again, like when you harvest and when it travels, right, 3-4 days in the warehouse, every day the nutritional value decreases. But this one, immediately it's fresh, it's safe. And lastly, Sunway Lagoon as well. If you notice, they have a huge lake, so we could potentially do aquaponics there and build farms for our consumers. Yeah, this one, I've already briefly mentioned about how we plan to empower through educational courses, workshops, or even short courses that you can get actually certifications. But also we're building an accelerator around it for startups. We actually put money into their company. We take a small stake, but we accelerate them through a program. Yeah, so we also act as an investor. Yeah, ultimately the vision is to have at least 1 million square feet of space to produce about 5,000 to 6,000 tons of food. So 1 ton is about enough food to supply for the communities around. All right, I think the last slide is really, if you look at it, we want to also create social and economic impact, whether it's for job creation, for local talents, researchers, supply of high growth startups for the ecosystem, partners, whether it's B2B, and then sustainable development and economic growth. So I think it's a very ambitious plan. We just started this year for the urban farm and for the organic farm last year. So we're very, very early as well, and hence we need to work with the partners in the ecosystem, because ultimately we believe the whole farm to fork supply chain, right? If everybody works silos, we call it, individually, we're really not going to create that large impact together for the industry. But we collaborate, the data comes together, we, in every community we are helping each other out, then we can really see that the industry has that potential to grow. Alright, so lastly, I'll leave you with a video, the short video that we did, which will introduce you to our farms. If you notice the packaging, we also adopt a zero plastic, single use, so hence it's packaged in paper bags instead. All right, any questions? All good? Okay, so next up we'll take you for a tour, have a look at the different farms that we have. So introducing you to Ejen, who is a Sunway FutureX Community Manager. She will take you off to the farm tour, and later you can actually taste, let us know what you think of the vegetables, and yeah, you're improving along the way. So really nice to meet everyone, and thank you so much once again.
Thank you. Cut. Thank you so much. Let's
Okay.
start again, Miss Adenor.